Hey guys, what's going on? I'm bringing you guys a deck profile here on my Gravekeeper deck that I've been most recently playing on Dueling Network. Now first off, I gotta say this right ahead of time because someone's probably gonna say it, that this does not look like the best Gravekeeper deck out there. And to an extent, I do agree with that, and I do think that way as well. Basically, when I decided to play this deck, I didn't know really how to play it. I didn't have a build created yet. For this format, nothing. So what did I do? I went back to my last format stuff, and I took a build that I created last format, and I basically was just like, you know what? Let's just play it. Let's just play it. So I ended up just playing it just for the sake of playing it. I did change 3 things though. I stuck in a guard instead of an assailant, and I was playing double Fiendish Chain, and I took that out for double breakthrough skill. That's the only things I've changed thus far. Whether or not they're good changes, time will tell, but we'll see. So why did I end up playing Gravekeepers to begin with? Gravekeepers has that one specific card that's just so devastating to a plethora of decks. Granted, stuff like Dark World, it's gonna hurt to play that, but you know, against a bunch of things, it just hinders everyone. And that's Royal Tribute. Royal Tribute is just absolutely devastating, especially if you're playing this deck on Dueling Network. If you're playing on a single, like in a single duel, and you go Royal Tribute, like you actually have a very high chance of your opponent just auto-surrendering, auto-quitting, or insulting you, then auto-quitting. So it's really, really good. Granted, it's maybe not that great late game, but you know, that first turn or very early turns, depending on your situation, Royal Tribute is just absolutely devastating. A ruling about this as well that some people may not know of. I know a couple people that I ended up dueling did not know this at all. If you go Royal Tribute and your opponent chains MST to your Necro Valley, the Royal Tribute will still resolve. You don't believe me? Here's a ruling. If you activate Royal Tribute and your opponent chains Mystical Space Typhoon to destroy Necro Valley, the effect of Royal Tribute still resolves. So it's that freaking powerful of a card. It's really insane. I've used it up against Atlanteans. That's how I beat them as well. I use it up against Agents. I used it up against Exodia, etc., etc., Chaos Dragons, etc., etc. It's such a brutal card. It's insane. So that's really what enticed me to play the deck. Now before I get into how the deck's been doing, I'm just going to go through the deck, period, and then I'll go into the record and whatnot, and certain duels and screenshots and blah blah blah. So first off, Triple Commandant, really good. Summon it while the field is up, 2100 attack monster. Also just pitch it to get a field from your deck, really good. Double Descendant, probably my most debated card in the whole deck. Only because there are a lot of people that play 3, and then there are the people that also just only run 2 of this. And I've seen people make 3 work, and I've seen people make 2 work. Now I've also played 3 myself, but I haven't played it nearly as much as I've played 2. So I can't really form an opinion about 3, but in terms of 2, it hasn't hindered me whatsoever. I could easily fetch it with Spy, I can easily fetch it with Recruiter. If it's in the grave, I can fetch it with this card. Like, it's very easy for me just to keep reusing it. Granted, if it gets bottomless, it gets bottomless, but whatever. I don't usually want to have myself dependent on this card, and that's what I end up really not doing, is just being dependent on this card for a bunch of plays. I really just use everything else just to get my wins, if anything. So 2 has not been bad for me, but I can't say it's been great, but it hasn't hurt me in any way. 1 guard in place of the assailant that I was playing before. So how did that work out for me? Honestly, I only drew this card once. I never got it with Spy any other time, never drew it any other time, but that one time. And when I did finally draw this, the game was such in a state that setting it was not my best option, and I would have definitely lost if I just set it. So it ended up just staying in my hand, just dead, basically, because it didn't do anything. It was just there. So yeah, I can't really say much about it. I never really got to use it in action yet, but definitely, um, even if I had the assailant, it still wouldn't have made a difference because the correct play at that time was to do something with Descendant. I would have had to summon the Descendant and pray and whatever, and I'll have to try to use his effect. That was the correct play, which ended up winning me the game. So Assailant wouldn't have done anything anyways as well, so I don't know. Triple Recruiter, obviously, then the Triple Spy, and here's where it gets a little bit different. Malefic Cyber End Dragon and one Malefic Stardust Dragon. Now I've seen some people do this as well, but for the longest time I've actually been flip-flopping this, especially last format. I was thinking, okay, maybe double Cyber End Dragon or double Stardust, or should I try Dyna, like Fossil Dyna? Should I try something else? Should I just wipe out these monsters, period, and just play only the Gravekeeper monsters? Like, what should I do? In the end, I ended up just sticking with the Malefic Cyber End Dragon and Malefic Stardust Dragon. Mainly because, the deck really just revolves around Necro Valley. It's a field card. You have very easy access to it. You can get it with Commandant. You can just draw it, period. You have Duality. You have Allure. You can get it, period. So special summoning these boss monsters it's not that hard to do, and just the fact that they're relatively big already, especially Cyber End Dragon, just really puts the pressure on your opponent. Like with Malefic Stardust Dragon, not only is it 2500, but it also protects your Necro Valley. Whereas Malefic Cyber End Dragon, it really doesn't do anything to protect your Necro Valley, but it's so big that it will definitely put pressure on your opponent. Like, there's a very little chance that your opponent will actually just run this over, so they're going to have to use some kind of effect, maybe Dark Hole or something, just to try to get rid of this guy, because he is just that huge. Like, he's that nasty, and he puts the pressure on, and to the point where sometimes your opponent will just have to start just setting monsters because they can't deal with a 4000 attack monster. That's just too much. So, these guys really just put on the pressure, and it's really, really nice to have them. So now in terms of spells, one Allure. I ended up playing Allure. A lot of people told me not to, but I still played it. Whether or not it was good, meh. It hasn't backfired lately, so the only times it ever backfires for me is when in the Chaos Agent duel, Game 2, he won because my Allure of Darkness was poop. I didn't have any cards in hand, and I went Allure trying to get lucky, and I did not get lucky. That was the only time it was poop, but, whatever. Every other time it's been fine. Book of Moon, double Stelly, Steel, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, I've heard so much pronunciations, I don't even care anymore. But I played 2 of that. I played double MST. I played triple Necro Valley, double Pot, double Royal Tribute, and then 1 Wonder Wand. Just one. I don't think any more than that is necessary. Like, you can still do the whole Recruiter combo thing, and then if anything, there are times where you'll actually just need that little boost of attack just in order just to get over some things. So Wonder Wand really helps with that as well. So now in terms of traps, we had double Bottomless, double Breakthrough skill. So I did swap this in from the original Fiendish Chains that I was playing. How did this work out for me? It was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Drew them all when I really needed them. And the only thing is, Fiendish Chain can also block attacks as well. So, that's something that Breakthrough skill does not have on Fiendish Chain. But it's been working, and it really just kind of sneaks up on people as well. So I ended up playing 2. Dark Bribe, double D Prison, a Mirror Force, Judgment, double Warning, and then a Starlight Judgment, and Starlight Road. What am I saying? I'm so sleepy. Jeez. Okay, so that's the main deck. My side deck, it's still really in the making. I did go into match duels where I did have a side, but I don't think that side is very adequate. The only thing I sided in was Dust Tornadoes so far. That's it. But yeah, that's really basically it. In terms of the extra deck was really just kind of thrown together as well, but I'll show you guys what I've actually been able to create, and that's Cyber End Dragon, obviously because you gotta banish it for the Malefic Cyber End Dragon, so I've been able to use that. I've been able to use double Stardust, one for the Malefic Stardust and then one for Starlight Road. I've done that. I've actually used both in one game before. I've actually used Gagaga Cowboy in order to win before. I just attacked with everything that I had before, and that dropped him down to 400, I think it was. And then I went into Cowboy, and then I detached, and then minus 800, and I won. And then I've gotten into Black Ship of Corn once, and that was against this other Machina guy. And I took out his gear frame, and that was minus 1,000, and I ended up winning because he was only at 1,000 life points left. So that's the only things I've been able to create in terms of the extra deck. Yes, I can go for other rank 4s. Yes, with the recruiters I can make rank 3s, blah, 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 blah. But I haven't been in the situation where those cards are better to go for than these so far. Just saying. So that's basically it. That's the deck. So how the deck's been doing. In terms of single duels, I'm undefeated. I went from 800 something rating all the way up to 11, not 11, 1033, I think, 1030 something, that's all I know. So all those duels in between that time, I ended up winning all of them in terms of single duels. And then in terms of match duels, what happened? Match 1 was up against Flame Vels. I 2-0'd that. Match 2, I got disconnected. Match 3, I got disconnected. Match 4, I went up against Chaos Agents, or what I believe to be Chaos Agents, and then I went 2-1 against that. So, yeah, the deck's been having some success, so it's pretty good. So let's just hop into some screenshots. Here's a duel up against Crap3552. Crap3552 was playing some type of rabbit deck, could be Dino, who knows. And basically I just beat him down with Recruiter, Spy, Descendant, well, Necro Valley's up, then I set Warning, then on his turn he set 1, and then summoned Rabbit, I warninged, and then he just quit. What can you do? And then here I went up against Oscar. Oscar was playing the Chaos Agent deck in a full match against me. I won game 1 very easily. Then game 2, he beat me only because of like a Reborn and the fact that I really couldn't top deck anything. He went for Leviair, got back Honest, and I was just like, you know what? With my hand, there's no way that I'm going to come out this the winner. So I ended up just surrendering. Then game 3, which is what you're seeing here, I went first turn Royal Tribute. I almost took out his entire hand, except for a Solemn Judgment and a Warning. And then basically I just beat him down with Recruiters the whole game. Basically, at one point I did have a Descendant, but he dropped Gores, and then I had to use Descendant effect to get rid of the Recruiter to hit Gores. Then with Recruiter I got another Recruiter. Then he attacked the token with my Descendant. They crashed, and then he set the Judgment and the Warning. I end phase MST'd, I hit the Warning, and then I just proceeded to win from there, just beating down with Recruiter. It was insane. So yeah, I ended up winning there. And here was up against Gannicus 80. This was a single duel. This was up against I don't know, Machina deck, could be with Gadgets, could be with Geargia, who knows. Basically what had happened was I went first, I set Spy, I set Breakthrough Skill, I activated Necro Valley. On his turn, he summoned Gear Frame, I flipped over Breakthrough Skill, and what did I do? I activated it against his Gear Frame, and that means no effect. So he attacked with Gear Frame, hit my Spy flipped up, and got Descendant, and then he set 1 face down back row, then passed. On my turn, I was just planning on attacking. I didn't want to use Descendant's effect, so I didn't even care. So I switched everything to attack. Descendant was already in attack mode from last turn, so I ended up going MST. I hit his 1 back row, which was a Book of Moon. He chained it, and targeted my descendant and flipped it down. So I was just like, okay, question mark? And then I flipped it back up because you can do that. And then I proceeded to attack, and then he was just like, question mark, question mark, question mark. I'm like, I can flip it back up. And he's like, of course not, idiot. And I said, yes you can. So I called an admin, and he's like, you are a fucking noob. See ya. And then he just left. So what can you do? If he was right, he would have stayed. So what can you do? I know my stuff. I know my stuff. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me, you stupid machina player. I know my stuff. Anyways, that's all the screenshots that I have. So that's the deck, guys. Enjoy it. Try it out, maybe. I don't know. Tinker around with it. Who knows? It's fun for me. I like it. Some people will hate on you for playing back row, but honestly, I barely have back row. And honestly, I've actually used this trap lineup in other decks as well, and it hasn't benefited me as much as it does this deck. Maybe it's because of the elements of this deck altogether that this deck actually really just comes alive. Like, it just really utilizes everything very well. So, yeah, there you guys go. Gravekeepers. Later.